What's up everyone on the internet? Thinking Makes Video Party. I'm so excited to upload this one for you guys because we're at the end of October and I thought we'd take a look back at the very first Godzilla, which was released in 1954. It's crazy to see how this franchise is over 67 years old, and it's amazing to see how each movie has either built on or paid homage to this very first film. So like I said, this movie was back in 1954 by Toho Studios and is meant to serve as a political/environmental message to warn audiences about the dangers of nuclear testing. More on that later. But anyway, the movie set around the same time where several boats have been mysteriously catching fire and sinking whenever they sail through this glowing water. While at first everyone is baffled as to what is going on, so many old people believe in an old legend that a large sea dragon is responsible for all this. Well, it isn't long until scientists find large footprints on the beach before seeing a very, very large dinosaur and soon name him Godzilla. Sounds like a franchise already. But anyway, one of the things that I liked about this film is that after watching movies like Shin Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and even the 2014 Godzilla movie, you can see how those movies pay a lot of respect to this very first film. One example in particular is when a scientist mentions that this is an ancient creature that has probably been living in underwater caves deep within the ocean. Sound familiar? It should, because when you watch some of the recent movies, this sounds a lot like the Hollow Earth theory that Warner Bros. Monsterverse was setting up and left audiences having mixed feelings. Another great reference to this first film is how some of the recent movies make Dr. Serizawa a main character who wants to study Godzilla. Well, in this first movie, we do have a Dr. Serizawa who plays a critical role in the story, and we also have a scientist who thinks that it is best to study Godzilla rather than killing him. But going back to Serizawa, one of the things that I liked about this particular character is that he sees the danger in an invention that he creates, which pretty much serves as a plot device throughout the movie. In the movie, he creates something known as an oxygen destroyer, which is meant to kill everything in the ocean. And when he makes this discovery, he is horrified as to what he has created and prays that he would never use his invention as a weapon. It sort of gives you this heavy feeling of burden knowing that you hold the fate of the world in the palm of your hands because of this new device that you've created. It also reminds you of Dr. Oppenheimer when he first created the atomic bomb. But anyway, going back to the oxygen destroyer, if you feel like you've heard that name before, you definitely have when you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. In that movie, the military not only uses that device to kill King Ghidorah, but also Godzilla too. Well, it didn't work out because not only was King Ghidorah able to walk away from that explosion, Godzilla was down for the count. That is until Serizawa sacrifices himself to revive Godzilla by activating a nuke right next to him, as opposed to the first movie where he sacrifices himself to defeat Godzilla. So it's crazy to see how we have one Serizawa who kills Godzilla and we have another Serizawa who saves Godzilla. Also, speaking of Godzilla, one of the things that I liked is how the movie uses practical effects on the monster. And I say practical effects because apparently stop motion animation and green screen effects were available at the time, but they decided to have an actor wear a suit and walk around miniature sets, which actually works really well for this film as you feel like you can touch Godzilla's skin. Granted, with every step he takes, you can see the folds of the suit, but it actually works. I mean, when you look at large animals, they do have folds and wrinkles in their skin and joints whenever they move. So it's nice to see how the movie went for a more practical look rather than having a stop motion monster. Because while I enjoyed watching the original King Kong for its stop motion animation, there are parts of that movie where I feel like you could have used a guy in a suit to make the monster more realistic. Also, fun fact, the guy who wore the Godzilla suit lost about 20 pounds during the making of this movie, and that was because he was sweating inside the suit. Now, while most of the shots of Godzilla destroying the city are pretty good and even great when you see him use his atomic breath while the city behind him is on fire, there are also shots that are not so good. Because we're having a guy in a suit walk through miniature sets, everything around him has to be small, including cars, trains, planes, and even boats. Now, while the majority of the movie does a good job on some of these small-scale vehicles, there are times where you can obviously tell that they were using toys. Granted, this is probably the best that they could have done at the time, but I feel like that they could have put in a little more detail. But other than that, I really like this movie, seeing that I've always been a fan of the Godzilla franchise, so it's nice to see where it all began. And I also like how this movie serves as a message to warn people about the dangers of nuclear testing, seeing that this was the sort of thing that prompted Godzilla into attacking Japan because of all the atomic bomb testings that were happening in the ocean and other islands. So if you're a big fan of the Godzilla franchise, or if you're interested in seeing where the franchise started, I highly recommend you watch this movie, and you can find it on HBO Max. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. That was my overall view for the original Godzilla. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button so you can get the latest updates from this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye-bye.